Thank you.
Justin,
Thank you.
thanks for being on the podcast today.
Do I do like an intro? Like, do I
This
have to
no,
plug myself?
there's no intro. Just relax. Be comfortable.
Yeah.
This is episode number 2. This one is full video. Is going to go on YouTube. So I have my good close friend Justin here today. It's number 2 for on the Daily Divine Downloads podcast. So today, I think we're just gonna kind of start talking.
Yeah.
I mean, how have things been going in your life, man?
It's a big question, right? So
I know it's broad.
most broad strokes require some sort of start to be a broad answer, but we'll refine it down to something that makes sense to everyone. So what I've been through lately has been what you'd call like a roller coaster. Not just emotional, but the people that come in and out of your life, the things that you encounter. You have highs, you have your lows, and then you have moments of silence. And some days you look forward to the moment of silence, at the end of the day or the beginning of the day. I think most people try and find it at the end of the day, but mixing it up sometimes and going into the beginning of the day, starting at silent, can kind of change your trajectory for the rest of the day. I typically start my day now with a little light prayer, and whereas most people will end their day with a little light prayer.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we're talking broad things you can do for yourself, and talk about where I'm at. That ultimately it's about finding peace, inner peace. So lately, I've been on that journey.
What are you struggling with right now?
Loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of loneliness and grief for the people that you encounter in your life. You think about how significant they are once they're gone, or not necessarily gone off this earth, but gone in a sense where they're no longer a big part of your life. Like someone who was maybe a big proponent of everything that you did on a daily basis became now someone who's no longer a whisper in your thoughts, right? So having that transition, going from being with someone for so long and feeling some type of future with them, or we're talking about relationship now, but having a future with someone planned out in your head, and then things don't go the way they go, you start to relate to yourself like, okay, where did I go wrong in this process? How is it that I affected where I'm at today? Like, what was my percentage of this issue? And so you start to reflect on yourself. And again, reflection starts for me at the beginning of the day, and where it used to be at the end of the day when I've already gone through all the emotions of the day. Now I get to start with the right emotion versus feeling it at the end of the day. But yeah, as far as how I'm doing, I'm growing. Every day I look at it as another chapter in my skill to become resilient in life.
There you go.
So resiliency, I think, is key to any obstacle you face. It doesn't matter how you face it, what you do when you're facing it, how you're doing it. It's just the getting out past it, knowing that there is outcome, there's a reason for it, and there's a meaning behind every action that you're going through. So for me, I am on a journey of inner peace, whereas I've felt a lot of pain, a lot of loneliness, and a lot of depression lately. But again, that doesn't signify that I'm okay now. You gotta learn that it's okay to not be okay, and when you're okay with that, it's a lot of okay. But you have to really believe that you are okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you start to dwell, and you don't really get far. You're like a hamster on a wheel. It just continuous cycle of, oh, it's gonna change. It's gonna change. No, you know it's going to change, so therefore you make the steps you need to do to make the change. So, next question.
No, that was really good. I mean, have you had any experiences in your life, other struggles that you feel were divinely inspired that you can pull upon by chance?
Well, obviously, it starts with your belief in God. Yeah, so I would say that there's a lot of things that I've recently experienced that have been divine and that have caused me to think about, okay, this is God's work. Like you can't deny the the thought of having, things that you would have never even conceived of. Like you can't even fathom what he has in store for you because you may see one angle of things that's happening. He sees all the angles that are happening. So that to me is, what I need to acknowledge. And so when it comes to his intervention with me, I typically just let him have control. Like giving up that control has led me to have that divine intervention. Some of the things that has happened recently, I lost someone I really love, like not out this world again, but in my life, like they're no longer going to be a big part of my life because they've moved on. We had our time together, and there's no more. And so I had to really fill that huge gap, a huge void that I've been feeling with God's presence. And so by doing so, I've had, now I've gotten more opportunities at work. I've gotten more, time with friends, rekindling old relationships that I value today. Also getting closer with God. We don't really get closer with God until we're in literally the lowest that we can possibly find.
Facts.
And when you're getting out of that, sometimes you'll take people with you, sometimes you'll bring people down with you, and you'll go together or travel differently. But for me, I want to be aware of what I'm going through and use God as lay everything at His feet. Say, hey, Jesus, thank you for what you've done for us and sacrificing everything you have to forgive us of our sins and our deeds and what we've been through. So I think it's important that we appreciate where we're at all times.
Do you feel a certain mission, like for your life, maybe your spiritual mission, your soul mission, the mission that God gave you? Have you had any kind of direction in which you think I really feel called to do something a certain way by chance?
I can't pinpoint one thing
Okay.
right now in my life that I have a purpose of. That's something that I'm seeking actively.
Yeah.
I can't lie and say, yeah, I've figured it out. Yeah, I've got purpose. I know what I'm doing. I have no idea. And I'm okay with it right now. Yeah. So I just know that there is a gift that God has blessed me with, and that gift, I need to use it for others. It's not for myself, right? I have it. It's within me. I've discovered what it is, and then I have to, go use it for other people.
Yeah.
And give other people that gift. Again, I don't know what it is yet, but when that day comes, people watch out. You'll be blessed.
Yeah.
And that's all through God's help.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just an interesting time that we're living in right now. I mean, it seems like everyone that I come into contact with and I talk to has struggles going on now. I know that's human, right? I mean, if you weren't struggling, I think that would probably be a bad thing.
I wouldn't be on this podcast.
Right. But it's like, neither would I.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just, I think one of the biggest messages that has been, something I've been receiving and stuff that I've been just talking with a lot of people about is how struggle and suffering is a sign that God is working in your life. Mm-hmm. Like me personally, there's been things that I went through in my past, it could be high school. I mean, there's definitely things in college that I went through some suffering. I mean, it was not fun at all. I remained as positive as I could, but it just seemed like everything looking back that happened to me, that I was looking back and I go, dude, I was struggling then. That was a tough time in my life because of maybe external factors, things that I did, or either influences, people around me. And I look back and I go, God bless. I mean, or just glory to God, the blessing from God, because I look back and I see these struggles that I went through that were really bad at the time. And even my recent thing with the those little drinks
Yeah.
that I'm so thankful, and I go, oh my goodness, everything that happened that I went through that was really tough times in my life got me to where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And I really just have to give all credit to the divine guidance that I gave. I just think that all things happen for reasons.
Right.
Because like even if you're having a bad day or you're having a bad even a bad year,
Right.
and you're just like, why are things not going well for me? It's almost like that it's on purpose, because that's shaping you to be who you're going to be. And I always like to say things like, if you were trying to interview for a job,
Mm-hmm.
and you love that, you're like, this is my job, I want this job, this is what I'm going to do so well. You get to like the first, second, you get to the final round, and then you get cut, and you go, oh my goodness, what happened? I really felt like I was going to get this job. And then you get really down, right? You get really upset. But then the next job you get actually turned out to be even better.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was a better company, it was a better pay, it was
Right.
like things were better.
Yeah.
And then you go, I am so glad I didn't get that job.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost as if you didn't get that job because it wasn't your fault. Like your interview was bad because you were in that final round. It's like, oh no, that wasn't your path.
Mm-hmm.
You were meant to not get that job because that got you into this job, and now you're the CEO of this company,
Amen.
right?
Yeah.
Or you're a partner in the law firm,
Mm-hmm.
and it wouldn't have happened with going with this other company. And I feel like that's a good message, and that's like what this podcast is about, is just to bring people on and talk to them about things they're struggling with, and maybe how the divine has influenced them in their life, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, going off of what you said, it's also about being aware of what you're going through. And yeah, it may suck right now. You got to embrace that suck. And then the other end, you'll know that all that sucking that you just went through is for a better reason. There's a reason for it. There would be some silver lining in all the, the downfalls, the pits. When you hit that high, you're like, okay, that was just the ride up. That was just all the bumps and bruises you'll get through the trenches. But yeah, breaks you down. Like God breaks you down into pieces, right?
Yeah.
Just to be able to build you back up to a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
Through that process. So.
Well, even people, I think, right? Even people where you came into my life through another friend.
Just random coincidence of things. Yeah.
And we have a really good group of friends. Yeah. We're all on the same wavelength.
Mm-hmm. We have some diversity in that group.
We do, and that's what's beautiful. And what's really interesting is, as I told you, I just started a company. Mm-hmm. From my experience, I just feel called to do stuff like this, to make these videos, to help motivate people and help people understand that you might be struggling, but everyone is struggling together, and we can find grace and, I guess, encouragement in the fact that everything happens for a reason. And I think a good thing is that, I mentioned I started this business, so I filed my LLC. I'm starting a clothing brand. Right. And I'm really excited about this, and I will tell you about it, and through once it's like actually official and stuff. But but
I jinx it, right?
Right. Well, I'm really excited about it, and like I don't want to get too aggressive too quick, and because I'm really passionate, but I'm doing all the right things. But here's the example. I felt this clothing brand came to me. This brand name came to me from God. Mm-hmm. I went through the experience of drinking a bunch of these Kratom drinks or whatever, and started going down a dark path of just excessive use of these things, vaping all this nicotine, to the point where I started having insomnia. And through that, my body was shutting down. I was getting 2 hours of sleep a night for, I think, the first 5 days. And that's when I just broke down.
Right. And
I was literally crying. And in that moment, I felt called to listen to this song. It was one of the ones that when we went for your baptism, it was this one of the songs that they played there that I really liked. I just felt called to listen to it. Once I did, I was crying, but like the song felt good. And then all of a sudden, dude, I got these intense tingles from head to toe. And then this blanket of love wrapped around me. And in that moment, I didn't know who it was or what it was. But then 2 weeks later, I realized that it was Jesus. Mm-hmm. And he came to me because I called upon him. And through this motivation of feeling the presence of Jesus and realizing that this was happening for a reason to get me off of these substances, I was suffering so bad, Justin. And looking back, I go, once now I realize what happened and why, I go, that was beautiful suffering. And that's when I got this brand name and everything. And so I was on a website where you can design t-shirts and order them. And I'm doing my design. I use some AI for generations, right? But it wasn't exactly the right font and what exactly I wanted. I said, I need to go into a shop. I need to go in somewhere. I need to show them my design, and I need to talk with them to see if they can do this, bro. So I look up t-shirt printing shop.
Yeah.
This was like literally last week. And I found the closest one to me. It's 5 to 7 minutes down the road. Called the guy, super friendly guy. I go, hey, I have an appointment after. It's right by you. Can I stop by? He said, absolutely. I come over there and bro, this guy is so nice. He's an Indian guy. So nice. Christian. Has like holy water in a little bottle on his desk. He's got, Jesus up on a cross. He's got a rosary necklace on. And I start telling him my story that I just told you about these substances and the divine intervention that occurred. And he loved the story. And he says, people might come to him with just a name brand trying to like make money off of shirts. And he said, dude, I really want to help you with this business. So because I love the message. I love the brand name, and I will tell you once it's official, it's going to be really cool. I really like it. I'm really excited about it. But through that, I just felt called to go into that shop just to find out that this guy is Christian. All of his friends are Christian. Yeah. He loves the story. He believes in the brand. He wants to help me. And I just go, thank you, God, for probably even putting a thought into my head, because I was going to order some shirts from another web. Probably putting thoughts into my head that make me kind of start moving in a certain direction. And I found this guy. Now we're like friends. And Jonah met him yesterday after we did a podcast here. And we met him. And so Jonah will vouch. He'd be like, dude, that guy is so cool. So we're doing all this stuff. The brand is coming off. And it just feels so right. And I just can't even explain how good of a feeling that is, and how that is so much related to divine guidance in your life for purpose.
Right. Yeah. That's an incredible story.
I just told you for the first time.
Yeah. I did not know anything, half the stuff you just said. I listened to your video online, and you kind of explaining what you've been going through in your divine intervention. And, I never thought of those two words in a single sentence, divine intervention. Like, to have something divine, it means like just outside of your earthly understanding and control over what you have. And then intervention is obviously just a big old red stop sign in your face saying, hey, listen, I need your attention. This is where you should be going. Like, this is the path I need to take you down. So, that alone, your story, your message has helped a lot of people already.
I hope. Sure. I mean, that's the goal, right? Yeah. I mean, it's really just to talk it out and have people realize that
we're all common.
Yeah. I mean, people, and I'm not special. I am not special at all. Yeah. People go through way worse things that I went through. I think the only difference is when you want the change, right? With my experience with substance abuses is I was really embarrassed, and I did not want that at all. I was very addicted to these things that I was on, and the kratom and the nicotine, and I really wanted off. And I was shifting my heart and saying, God, I don't want this. This is not me. I need your help. And he did. Did I tell you that I did them every single day, these drinks and this nicotine, and then one day, I was, for a while, it was like 8 months ago or longer, I was just so upset with what I was doing with my life, because it was a year and a half of doing these drinks, and then nicotine was like 6 years. But I was so upset with this dark path I was going down, and I just said, God, if you're with me, like, please take away my addiction and my desire to use these drinks. Right. Bro, the next day I woke up, and I do the same routine every day. Right. I wake up, I have my coffee, and I get situated, and I open up the fridge, grab these drinks, crack them, and just start drinking them and just vaping nicotine all day. Right. And promise, dude, I swear to you, I open up the fridge just like it's a normal day because that's what I did. I was addicted. I had to
Just
drink
looking
them.
for it, yeah.
And I literally pick it out of the fridge and I had absolutely no desire to drink it.
Right.
And that's what I did every day. And I looked forward to drinking them every day, even after drinking too much to the point where I get sick.
Oh yeah.
And I would do it, and it's not like it was every day I was getting sick, but like there was points where I pushed myself too much because I wanted that fix, right?
Right.
And I said, God, if you're with me, take away my addiction. And I had no desire. But of course, I couldn't just go cold turkey because I would like start going through withdrawal. So I said, okay, I just want 2. And you know the story. I'm not going to go through it, again with you in detail. But sure enough, I tried. My heart was there. I wanted to give it up, and I failed God because he took the desire away. And as I wanted to only have some to start coming down, I couldn't help it. I had to have more. It's like having Oreos. You can't just have one Oreo or Girl Scout cookie. You can't have one. You have to have 6.
Right.
And that's what I was doing with these little Kratom drinks.
Yeah.
And so a month or 2 later after that, it started this year, it started in February once I finally started getting this insomnia. And it was God. I was so ready for change and I couldn't do it on my own. And then God prevented me from falling asleep because I was using these drugs. And soon enough, I started realizing what was happening. And I realized that this was my purpose to get off these so I can understand suffering, so I can be compassionate with and console with people who are going through suffering. And that's where this podcast was originated from, was that journey and experience. And God is good, man.
Yeah. Addiction is something you don't mess with, for sure. It's
you don't,
hard.
Especially those Kratom drinks,
dude. You can't do it alone, yeah.
You got to stay away from that. And it's so easy to get. It's illegal in like 4 states in the United States. In Georgia, it's not. You can get it at a gas station. You can get it at a health food store.
Right.
Smoke shops, smoke shops. Dude, we need to get rid of this stuff because, as you know, all drugs. Sometimes you might be able to take certain drugs to maybe tap in a little bit, actually. But if you're using them all the time, every single day, you become disconnected from God. When you're drunk on alcohol or you're stoned constantly on weed, and you do those every day, and the kratom and the nicotine, even nicotine in coffee, even though it doesn't affect your psyche, it doesn't alter your senses besides stimulate you, everything disconnects you from God. And that's why I was saying at church today, because I'm like basically clean now, I'm off of all the things except for those little drinks that I'm like just a few weeks away from coming down at very low doses. I felt so connected at church today.
Yeah, think about even sugar, right? That's an addiction for most people.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's like crack to the brain.
It is literal crack for the brain.
Yeah.
So you'll
have
have
kids get it nowadays too, and all their sugar cereals and stuff.
Yeah, and then they crash and repeat cycle, and yeah, that's an addiction that a lot of people don't even know where they have. So to go back to your point, like you slowly taper yourself off things, you get more and more awareness of yourself through that process. I cut out soda for years. Like I used to be a hardcore smoker. I smoked cigarettes since I was 18 up until I was 30 years old, and I can't imagine going back and having a cigarette today. Like I would be on my ass. Like I would be so like out of my days. Wouldn't be conscious, it feels like. But I suffered with addiction. I'm still going through AA right now for gambling, gambling addiction. So addiction.
And what kind of gambling?
Well,
trading.
Yeah.
Okay, just so the people know what you're
right,
gambling.
Yeah. So cryptocurrency is legal gambling. When you use certain platforms, you become a little bit aggressive in your trades and over leveraging, and you could lose a lot. You can win a lot, but you can lose a lot in that process. So it's important to know your risk and know when you have an addiction, to step away when you have one, and to seek help when you need it. So
well, that's a really important point, because one of my close girlfriends, like boyfriend, has a gambling addiction, but it's trading. He does penny stocks.
Oh yeah.
And he is just losing thousands of dollars because he's not practicing with simulated paper trading.
That's the easiest.
And I think he knows what he's probably doing, because I dabbled in it myself, and he sounds very similar to me. I didn't lose as much as he did because I stopped. Because I was like, okay, down to $1,000 now. It's like I need to like practice. But when you take the emotion out of it with the simulated trading, you perform very well because there's no emotion and you're just trusting your instincts and your technical patterns and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh, I just made $5,000 today paper trading. Okay, tomorrow I'm gonna use my real money, and next thing you know, you lose 5,000 or you're $1,000. You know, next thing you know, it's $1,000 every day for 5 days or whatever. And it's tough because there's emotion. And so I'm glad you brought that up because I can only imagine how many people that are watching this right now that have either a real like casino gambling addiction or they want to make money by trading, but they're not taking the right steps. They're not writing out a plan, a trading plan even. You know what I mean?
Or even substance abuse.
Substances, I mean, it's huge.
Costly, you know, just as much as trading would be costly. You're buying something that is probably, you know, if you're obtaining it legally, then it's probably a reasonable cost. But if you're trying to obtain things illegally, you're going to be spending a lot more money on it. Or if you take a certain amount of those drinks every day, it's probably adding up in cost.
Oh, dude, I was spending thousands of dollars, bro.
I did the
calculations. It was like rent. It was like rent.
Yeah,
it was paying 2 months rent. It was crazy. Ridiculous.
Yeah. And I did the cost analysis of how much it would cost, how much it costed me from the time I was 18 up until I stopped smoking cigarettes. Oh yeah, it was thousands of dollars.
Oh dude, it's nasty. And I was juuling a lot too. Now I don't. Yeah. Now tell the people. So besides, you know, we're not going to condemn people. Everyone has free will.
We can't judge.
That's not our place to judge. And everyone has free will. We would never impede on that. But so obviously, like on a special occasion, someone's birthday, or at the lake or something. Of course, you know, you or I, we don't drink, but like maybe we'll have a little bit to drink, right? You're on that state, right, where you literally don't do substances, right? Besides the occasional, little drink here, little drink there, you know, like you're like you don't do water. You don't do nicotine anymore. No, you don't do alcohol, except for like a birthday, special occasion, New Year's, something, right?
Yeah.
A Christmas party.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Tell the people a little bit about why you went from doing substances a couple of years ago to basically going like cold turkey. You went cold turkey and like you don't do any kind of drugs or substances.
So my biggest thing was I got out of the military and I got married. I had, you know, I thought was a future, a path with someone. And the next thing you know, I'm finding out that my wife at the time is not happy. There's no love anymore in that relationship, and she wants out. So me not having, really a foundation solid before I got out of the military was what led me to fumble that relationship at the end. So I'll kind of give you a little more details, but, you know, when I got out of the military, I didn't have anything really set up, you know, for myself financially or have a path of a really decent job when I got out. So I struggled with finding my manhood again and finding my role as a partner in life. And so I rode heavily on narcotics, like weed and alcohol and tobacco. Like I was using all three of those daily, you know? And so I really lost myself in that process of, you know, finding my feet in the real world outside of the military, because that was very, you know, guaranteed paycheck, guaranteed taken care of, that kind of thing, as long as I did my job well and I was good. Now you're into the real world and you're like, okay, I've got a wife to support and a family to start, and I've got no direction. I've got, you know, kind of my background in the military, my background in a few other places, but that's it. And nobody gives you a guidebook and says, hey, this is how you should do it. I mean, if I had the Bible sooner, I would have probably been a little bit more successful, but you don't really find that kind of thing in a book. You find it through your experience. Like I've had to fail over and over and over again before I found out where I'm at today.
Yeah.
Right. So going back to, you know, right out of the military, and my wife at the time telling me that she was no longer in love with me, that woke me up, and I looked myself in the mirror at 230 pounds. I was a big boy. I was overweight. I, you know, didn't recognize myself. I'd never been that big, and there was no reason why I shouldn't let that beautiful girl, go, right? She obviously wasn't happy. It was hard to look at me, myself. And so I was like, okay, I can see why she doesn't love me anymore. I don't love me anymore. So what I had to do is I had to get rid of things that distracted me from feeling. I was disassociated, so I had to get back to feeling things again, understanding my feelings. So having that emotional intelligence to say, okay, I understand why it is I feel this way, and I can then reiterate it to someone and then explain myself in a better way. Not that I have to explain myself, but if someone asks, this is why I feel the way I do.
Yeah.
So I had to rebuild my thought process outside of having numbing drugs. And then it wasn't until, obviously, the friend group, we've gotten closer and closer and closer. You guys were the first people there after my divorce. Like, you guys met
That was
her
crazy.
as I was leaving.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, you helped me move my stuff out of that apartment into my new apartment. And I was heavily on drugs. So you guys remember that. Like, we'd go out and party and drink. And I don't even do that today. I despise going out and paying for alcohol.
It's like that's the opposite of what I'd like to do on a weekend.
Yeah. And, you know, it hasn't been that many years. I mean, yeah, it's been 6 years since I was divorced. And it's like, okay, yeah, it took me probably a year and a half to lose the weight. But I'm still learning, right?
Yeah.
There's no end to that lesson that I just went through. I can't say like I've accomplished everything I want to accomplish since then, but I've definitely got a chunk out of it, right?
Yeah.
I've gotten to a point where I can explain myself, I can feel good about myself, I can love myself again. And, you know, I've had some other relationships since then, and those relationships have taught me even more through the process. And it's important that each person takes, like, this is very important, that each person takes a lesson from each relationship, knowing that what they did was, you know, a percentage of it, and what your partner did was a percentage of it. But it's not one person's fault. You have to actually learn things from it, and you take that in each relationship thereafter, and you have to understand what baggage you brought with you, how to unpack it, so that they can, you know, absorb it in their way of absorbing things, and you can lay it out just how it is, and building a foundation first around truth and faith in God, like that will set your relationship up going forward. Like, that's my perspective after what I've been through. If I were to have another relationship, the first thing I would do is try and figure out where they're at in faith, their journey in faith. Amen. Or where they're at spiritually within themselves. If it's not with God, why? You know, can you tell me why?
Yeah.
Or, you know, what is your thoughts on, you know, sex before marriage? What are your thoughts on alcohol? I mean, I would go into so many questions about who are you and how are you and what can I do to help you?
Yeah,
like that,
I love that.
That would be my next goal. And you know, in a relationship is like, I want to be there for that person. You know,
it's kind of like when I meet women, what I like to do is, you know, obviously be friendly with them, but then it's not, so what do you do for work? And, you know, what's your politics? The question I like to ask them is, so what are you passionate about? You know, and just to get that going. And Justin, you know, there's so many good things happening for people right now. I know you feel it. I know Jonah feels it. I feel it. There's so many good things. And I'm so excited to do this journey with you guys and have this podcast. I think it's going to really touch a lot of people. And we have so much more to talk about, and I'm definitely going to have you back on. But before we just close this out, is there any kind of advice that you would give to someone right now? Any kind of advice, whether that's struggles, whether that's finances, like, is there any kind of like motivational advice you could give someone listening to this that either is going through a tough time or whatnot?
It's funny. Actually, I would say the advice is to take your own advice. Sometimes you have the best.
Like, trust your heart, you mean?
Yeah, trust your heart.
I love it.
And give the same advice you would give yourself. So, like, if I were to say, hey, you need to go, stop procrastinating this, well, then you have to also preach what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
So, like, you have to do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I think the best advice I can give right now is to do exactly what you say you're going to do. Be a person of action and instead of a person of reaction.
Yeah.
And
I love
go
that.
forth and prosper.
I love that. Well, brother, thank you so much for coming on here, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And as always, you know, guys, if you're in the Atlanta area and, you know, there's stuff going on in your life, you know, don't be afraid to share it. Please reach out, message me on Instagram at @DanielPyle_ if you want to just talk, or if you want to come on and we can talk here publicly to help people that are going through similar situations that you've heard about us talking about today. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great day, and we will see you on the next one. Much blessings. Thank you.
Cool.
That was good.
Yeah.
That was really good.